It took me around 35 long years to realize something that I wish I had someone explain it to me when I was young. Because when you're young, people give you a very simple formula for life. You remember it when you're young? People just give you a very simple formula for life. Work hard, become successful, make money, get in shape, build a great relationship, and eventually you'll be happy. That's what most of us do. We start building a version of the future where everything is finally okay. The problem is every time you get closer to that future, it moves again. I know this because I done it myself. There was always something else I thought I needed before I could relax. Another milestone in business, another number I wanted to hit, another version of myself that I thought would finally be confident enough, successful enough, respected enough. And to be clear, I think having ambition is not bad. Being ambitious is actually very good. And I claim I'm still ambitious. I still want to build things, I want to grow things, and I want to see how far I can go. But I have learned that there are two completely different ways to be ambitious. You can build because you're curious about what you're capable of, or you can build because deep down you don't believe who you are today is enough. From the outside, those two people can look exactly the same. They can work for the same hours, chase the same goals, and even achieve the same things. But internally, they're living completely different lives. One is running towards something, the other is running away from themselves. And that is the first thing I wish I understood earlier. When I was younger, most of the things that we desperately chase are not actually what we want. What we really want is the feeling we believe those things will give us. Think about it. Think something about you really want it right now. Maybe you want more money because you think money will finally make you feel safe. Maybe you want a better body because you think then you'll finally feel confident. Maybe you want more recognition because you think then people will respect you, and somehow that will make it easier for you to respect yourself. The goal is real, but underneath the goal there is usually an emotion, and the dangerous part is that we keep confusing the two. We say we want $1 million, but maybe what we actually want is freedom. We say we want 1 million followers, but maybe what we actually want is validation. We say we want the perfect body, but maybe what we actually want is to walk in a room without wondering whether we're good enough. The distinction matters because the achievement can give you the result without giving you the feeling. You can make money and still feel unsafe. You can have people admire you and still feel insecure. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. I think every ambitious people eventually experience this, although we don't talk about it enough. You achieve something that once felt impossible. Maybe it's business milestone, a promotion, a salary, an award, or a number you've been chasing for years. For a moment, it feels incredible. You celebrate, people congratulate you, you think finally I made it. And then something strange happens. For whatever reason, life feels normal again. The thing that used to be your dream slowly becomes your baseline. The salary that once sounded huge becomes the amount you used to be receiving. The car becomes the car you drive through traffic. The house becomes the place where things breaks and need maintenance. And then your brain starts acting funny. It starts looking for the next big thing. This doesn't mean goals are pointless. It means goals were never designed to carry the entire weight of your happiness. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes when I was younger. I kept believing the next achievement would create a permanent emotional state. I thought success would make me feel permanently successful. I thought money would make me feel permanently secure. I thought progress would remove self-doubt. But spoiler alert, life doesn't work that way. Every new level gives you a new problem. Every bigger opportunity creates new uncertainty. Every mountain you climb lets you see another mountain that was hidden behind it. And strangely, I think it's actually a good thing. Because imagine actually reaching a point where there was nothing left to improve, nothing left to learn, and nothing left to build. I don't think that would feel like a freedom. I think after a while, it would feel empty. So I think the problem is not there is another mountain. The problem is believing you are not allowed to enjoy your life until you reach top. That realization changed how I think about ambition. I still want the next mountain. I just don't want to spend the entire climb wishing I were somewhere else. Because when you look back at your life, the journey is is not the boring part between important moments. The journey is where almost all of your life happens. Let's say you spend 5 years building a company. The big milestone might happen on one particular day. Maybe you close the deal and launch the product or hit the number. But the 5 years before that were your actual life. The conversation at midnight, the mistakes you made, the person who said no, the friend who believed in you, the days you wanted to quit, the tiny wins nobody else understood. Those moments are not the waiting room before life begins. They are life. And yet I still see so many young people say this: I'll be happy when the company is bigger. I'll relax when the debt is paid. I'll start enjoying life when I have more free time. Then one day, you can become 50, 60, or 70 years old and realize that you spent decades preparing to leave. And honestly, it scares me more than failure. Because failure at least means you tried something. But postponing your life can happen quietly. Nobody notices it. From the outside, you might even look successful. You can be winning publicly while constantly telling yourself that your real life will begin later. And this is where I think confidence also gets misunderstood. When I was younger, I thought confidence was something you earn after enough success. I thought eventually you would achieve enough that you would walk into any room and feel completely certain of yourself. Now, I don't believe that anymore. Real confidence is not thinking everyone in the room will like you. Real confidence is knowing that you'll be okay even when some people don't. That's a much more stronger form than any freedom. Because when you need everyone's approval, every room becomes an exam. You're constantly thinking about how you look, how you sound, and whether you said the wrong things, whether people are impressed. You're physically there, but mentally you're watching yourself through everyone else's eyes. When you stop needing the room to approve of you, you can finally become curious about the room. Who's interesting here? What can I learn? What can I contribute? Who can I help? Your attention moves away from protecting your ego and towards actually experiencing your life. I think that's one of the clearest signs of growth. Things that used to control you slowly lose their power. Maybe years ago, one negative comment could ruin your entire day. Now you can read it, think about whether it's useful, and move on. Maybe you used to be terrified of speaking in front of people. Then you do it badly, survive, do it again, and eventually the fear becomes smaller. Maybe you used to avoid difficult conversation. Then one day you finally have one and you realize that patient was worse than the conversation itself. This is why I think discomfort is one of the most misunderstood feelings in life. We assume discomfort means stop. Sometimes it does, but a lot of the time discomfort simply means you reach the edge of the version yourself you already know. Speaking on camera feels uncomfortable because there is a chance people will judge you. Starting something new feels uncomfortable because you might discover that you're not immediately good at it. Walking into a room where you know nobody feels uncomfortable because you cannot control what happens next. But every time you do something difficult and survive it, you collect something. Evidence. Evidence that rejection is painful but survivable. Evidence that embarrassment fades. Evidence that failure is information, not identity. And once you collect enough evidence, your world expands. This is important because as we get older, I think there is a real danger of slowly making our world smaller. When you're young, life naturally gives you new experience. You go to a new school, you meet new people, you get your first job, you have your first major failure, you travel somewhere unfamiliar. But eventually, you will build a predictable life. You know the same people, visit the same places, repeat the same routines, and have the same conversation. Everything becomes comfortable, but nothing feels alive. I've started to believe staying young mentally has less to do with your age and more to do with your willingness to remain a beginner. Day zero mentality, beginner mindset. Can you still learn something that makes you feel stupid? Can you still enter a room where you're not important? Can you still change your opinion when a new information proves you wrong? Can you still laugh at yourself? Me personally, I hope I can do that for the rest of my life. Because personally, I don't think the goal of the life is to reach a point where you understand everything. I think the goal is to keep expanding until you're running out of time. And this brings me back to the thing that took me so long to understand. You should absolutely chase the goal, make more money, build a company, improve your body, travel, create, compete, and take risks. But before you do it, ask yourself honestly, what am I expecting this goal to give me emotionally? Because sometimes the answer shows you the work that needs to happen at the same time. You can build wealth while also learning how to feel secure. You can get better in shape while also learning not to hate your body. You can grow an audience while also learning that attention and self-worth are not the same thing. You can love somebody deeply without making them responsible for fixing everything inside you. The external and internal work should happen together. Otherwise, you can spend 10 years building the perfect life for a person who still doesn't know how to enjoy it. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I will tell to my younger self. Don't become less ambitious. Be honest why you're ambitious. There's a huge difference between saying, I need to win so I can prove myself that I matter, and saying that I already know my value, but I'm curious on how can I expand myself more. The first type of ambition is exhausting because there is never enough proof. Second type can actually be enjoyable because success becomes an adventure, not a verdict on your worth. At 20s, I thought that life is about arriving somewhere. Now, I think life is about becoming more capable, more curious, more useful, more honest, more courageous. And again, it never finishes. You solve one problem, then life gives you more interesting problem. You overcome one fear, then a bigger opportunity asks more from you. You grow into one version of yourself, and then eventually that version becomes too small. That's what is called the process. So it took me 35 years to realize all of this. Do I still have ambition? Do I still have goals? Obviously. But I don't want to wait for my happiness come later when I have my achievement. I need to work on it now. And if anything, I think the happiness is in the process. It's inside it. It's internally inside of us. And I think the key lesson is be careful of what you're complaining of. Maybe you're already there. You're just not being grateful. You gotta soak it all in before it becomes a memory. And please, this is coming from my heart, sincerely. Do not stare at the top of the mountain. Every once in a while, look around. You may realize that the life that you were waiting for has already started. Stay classy.